and welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday. My name's John Blunt. Joining me on the couch this week, it's just Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here and excited to know that I clearly haven't played enough Grand Theft Auto.
I don't get that.
So I'm clearly not going around killing people and other bad things.
There we go. I was like, where's this reference going? But it all makes sense in the end. Yeah, so today on the show, we'll be discussing both how Peter Dutton's a bit of a cunt. Was that a record? What's the timestamp on that, do you reckon? 23 seconds into the episode, C-bomb. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So doing that, and the potential of Microsoft buying Discord at the end of the show. And I've popped my Monster Hunter cherry so you can hear all about that. And we have a bunch of id at Xbox indie news that was showcased to discuss in a little bit as well.
Yeah. Xbox, it lives.
Good job. Yeah, okay. You're full of it today. Full of beans. Good job. One of us has to be, I guess. All right, firstly, just get a piece of news out of the way that was from like late last week, like probably after we recorded the show, kind of late last week scenario. But Press Start writes, it's just another one of the list of games that have been delayed this year. Gotham Knights has been delayed until 2022. The game was originally supposed to launch this holiday. On a statement posted on Twitter, the team said, quote, Gotham Knights will now launch worldwide in 2022. We're giving the game more time to deliver the best possible experience for players. Thank you to our amazing fans for your tremendous support of Gotham Knights. We look forward to showcasing more of the game in the coming months. How do you take this news? Was this a big disappointment? Did you see this coming? Is this I don't know, because also there's been a lot of discussion of, is it COVID or is it because the game's so shit that they need more time to fix it? You know, like all of that hoopla that we always
Who cares which one it is?
Yeah,
as long as we end up with...
that's kind of how
as long as we end up with a good game at the end of it. I mean, it's fine, you know? I think maybe publishers are super wary now after Cyberpunk. You know, they don't want to rush anything, I don't think.
Yeah,
you know,
that's how it should be. they should both not rush games to put out shitty products that are just buggy messes and just Cyberpunk, and they should also not
put out shitty products,
because Cyberpunk is really the epitome of a million crunch stories led to a game that was so buggy and messy that it you know what I mean? Like the narrative was broken because before that it was literally, but you need to crunch to get a good game, you know, like, and then Cyberpunk's like, nope. I don't.
No, Cyberpunk proved that you're not guaranteed if you crunch, you get a good game.
Yeah. Not to say, of course, that there's a million stories, especially like you're looking at Naughty Dog, how they have a culture of crunch over there, and of course they put out fantastic games, but that's not to say that suddenly I think Naughty Dog's free of not being criticized for that, but Cyberpunk kind of fucked themselves in the foot there. So yeah, I honestly don't really care that this was delayed because they gave it like a rough holiday release or whatever, and now they've given it a push to 2022. And as far as we know, that could be like March 2022 when we could have got it like November. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, this may look. And I'm glad they didn't put definitive months and stuff, because don't do that unless you're 100% sure. You know what I mean? But I'm for all we know, this could be just a couple month push from what they had kind of, you know, scheduled on their whiteboard plan. So I don't think this is a big deal, and I don't think every time a game gets delayed that everyone needs to jump to conspiracy theories as to why it was. Because we even talked about this on Plat when like Returnal was delayed by however long that was, a month and a bit or whatever it was, and everyone's like, oh man, the game's fucked, eh?
Must be terrible.
And then it went gold this week, in the past week or whatever. So it was only a month. Like, I don't know why everyone's got these conspiracy theories now. I think it is obviously because of Cyberpunk. Everyone's just ready to, you know, they're looking for signs now or whatever. But I don't know. The video game industry is a weird one. Just shit gets delayed all the time. Calm down, it's fine. All right. This is a story that'll make you happy. Rest in peace, Xbox Live. So
yeah.
I've had that. I've been sitting on that joke for a week.
Rest in peace, Xbox Live.
Yeah, Live. So Kotaku writes, Xbox Live is dead. You'll still be able to play Xbox games online, but the suite of Xbox Online services will now be known as Xbox Network. Microsoft confirmed today.
Xbox Network, huh?
Yeah. You're going to say it's because the PlayStation Network? Are you trying to... Is that the...
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going. This morning, many Xbox users noticed a small change on the back of the Xbox dashboard. While uploading a screenshot to Xbox Live, some players noticed reference to Xbox Network, where Xbox Live used to be. Xbox Network refers to the underlying Xbox Online service, which was updated in the Microsoft Service Agreement. A Microsoft spokesperson told The Verge, continuing, quote, the update from Xbox Live to Xbox Network is intended to distinguish the underlying service from Xbox Live Gold memberships. Look, I think that whole part of the story is like, yeah, that makes sense. I do think it's noteworthy the fact that it has been around, as they point out here, like Xbox Live first launched in 2002, and that's what it's been known as since then. And I think Xbox Live as a name, like Xbox Live, the three words, has been sort of synonymous since the early 2000s as the platform everyone thought was the best. You know, Xbox is always, at least in the general public's eye, Xbox Live better than PlayStation Network. And now the name that everyone has been throwing out for years online is dead. So PlayStation wins. Because
Yep.
They gave in. Xbox gave in. That's the takeaway from this story.
This is kind of a weird non-story because it has absolutely no effect. Just a weird marketing change.
I think it could. Well, yeah, it is a.
Is it just now Xbox Network Gold membership, or is?
Well, no, it's still called Xbox Live Gold. They haven't changed that name.
Yeah.
But it is a non-story, but I'm bringing it up solely because if this like ties in and like if they announce
so we can make all the
jokes
about being
well, no, because sometimes I like to bring up stories if I think it may be relevant like a week or two down the line, so I know that we've at least touched on I have a pinboard in my mind. You're
banking on this becoming a bigger story.
I'm assuming that there's more changes.
Xbox Live cancelled. You can only get Game Pass.
So they're talking about that. Well, they also announced that the other thing with this change is that they're making free to play games no longer require gold. Was another thing that popped out in news this week, which I guess you could be like, yeah, should have been a. But that's one thing PlayStation's had going for a while. Like, if a game was free to play, you didn't actually need to play for PlayStation Plus to be able to play the game online. So that's one thing PlayStation has actually had over them. So they've made that change. They're changing the name. They're announcing all this and building up Game Pass a lot in the last couple months in particular. I think this is just all they're going to. I can see some more changes coming. I could potentially, maybe we do see Xbox Live Gold disappear and just merge into Xbox Game Pass, as we've sort of talked about. Or maybe they just get rid of, because there was all those rumors we talked about towards the end of last year. So this all seems like a lot of shuffling around for more than just the name. They wouldn't change the name unless they want to change the image of what it is. And a lot of it also probably comes down to the fact that they don't want to just be seen as the console thing anymore, because of course their whole thing now is Xbox with Game Pass on PC. Like, they have this whole like symbiotic relationships, and maybe they want the name to represent both PC plus Xbox. So I don't know. It's interesting, but the name lasted quite a while, 2002 to 2021. Fucking there you go. But talking about Xbox, so they had this id at Xbox Live stream thing. It went for like 4 fucking hours. So it wasn't like it wasn't a showcase.
So I went to start watching it this morning. Was there an audio issue right at the start?
Not in the one I was watching, I don't think.
No, because the two presenters and there was no audio.
I don't remember.
Until I jumped ahead further in the video. Maybe they got muted because of music in the background.
That is very possible.
That's possible.
Yes, that's very, very possible. Fucking Twitch.
It was on YouTube, so I mean.
Well, it could have been uploaded from Twitch. I mean, what channel was you watching on?
Xbox.
Okay, that's weirder then, I guess. I don't know.
I think, or maybe it was GameSpot. I can't remember.
Yeah, because it was like hosted by GameSpot people, and I think at least one of them was, and someone I can't remember who the host was.
I know one, Trisha Hirschberger.
Yeah, Trisha Hirschberger, and then someone else. I think it was a GameSpot person, maybe. Don't know. Anyway, it went for like 4.5 hours. So this wasn't one of these mini showcases. So we're not going to be talking about everything that was shown, obviously. But it was pretty cool. I didn't watch the entire thing. I kind of caught a little bit of it, skipped around, because I did, limited time. I did have work today, so I had time before work and now after recording after work, of course, to make the most of it. But I did skip around and watch at least all of the new trailers, and I've picked and narrowed it down to how many games we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games that I thought were the creme de la
top 6
creme of the games that were shown off there. So, and all of them are either new or at least games that haven't come out yet and got like release dates announced during the showcase. And all of them are, of course, if the title couldn't tell, they're all indie, which means they're all, we're not talking about fucking Halo here. So I'm going to run down them, talk a little about them, why they kind of look cool. Starting with Moonglow Bay. And I'm giving this one a certified cuties. I don't know if I can do that without Sheree, but I'm giving at least my seal of approval for hashtag cuties game. The description for this game, let's see what the description actually says here it doesn't actually have one in the fucking video.
It's bad.
It's
in Moonglow Bay, you play as a rookie angler, working together with friends, family, and neighbors to hone your fishing skills, nourish relationships, and restore a remote town's fractured community.
So it is a fishing sim. And the other thing that made me laugh, and I'm disappointed Kieran isn't here because I remember the description I was reading called it a slice of life game. I was like, oh, Kieran's favorite type of anime.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it looks very cute. It has the gameplay looks, you're simply you're fishing, you're talking to people, you're discovering the secrets of the town. You're I don't know. It has a part at the end that seems to hint at a potentially darker thing happening in the town, I guess, which after playing Bug Snacks and the way that game ends, I'm like, okay, I don't trust all cute games not to have a dark and twisted ending by the end of them, so who knows what else could happen here. But I thought this looked really cool because it just doesn't look like any other game. I mean, of course it has that, what do you call it? It's got Minecraft type.
It's like a blocky style.
Yeah, it's got the blocky style, but it's not like Minecraft ugly, because I don't find Minecraft particularly cute. It's got that blocky style, but it's a lot more vibrant colors and they're not exactly Minecraft. So I do think this has a cute style to it. But then it's just the gameplay and the characters, and there's voice acting, at least in the trailer, so I presume the rest of the at least some of the characters are going to be voiced in the full thing. So yeah, it looks like a relaxing fucking fishing game. I'm all about this. How would you play this one, or?
Yeah, I would check this out. I mean, it looks like an interesting story, and a lot of backstory and history, and some sort of mystery, and dark tragedy, but then also fishing.
Yeah,
which is
why not?
It's an odd combination of things.
I mean, Golf Story is probably still one of my favorite games I've played in like the last 5 years or whatever, because it had like the most weirdest. It had like so much story in a game that you're like, okay, so it's a golfing game, but then it had so much story and like cool characters and stuff. So, where's the sequel for that? God, that's been a while since we've heard about that. Or whatever their follow-up was.
Yeah, maybe later this year, hopefully.
I hope so. It's been a while. By the way, so it's been a while, so I'm just going to say it now because it's still like spoilers for the end of the Golf Story, but in case anyone hasn't played it. But I still every now and then just remember, because I never got it actually spoiled for me, but at the end of that game,
But now you're going to spoil it for everybody else.
Yeah, I'm going to spoil it now because it's been a while. You should have played it by now. But at the end of the game, it's revealed that you're playing in Australia. Like that's where, like all the continents you've been traveling to, like the different areas of the golfing. It's like, oh, go to this area, and they all have different terrain or whatever. And then at the end of the map kind of zooms out. It's like you're in Australia, which makes sense because it's an Australian developer. But I just never, you never put it together. So it was a cool little reveal. Next game, The Wild at Heart. So this was, we've seen this one before, but we got a release date officially for it now. This looked cool last time we saw it, but May 20th, this one's coming out. This has a really cool art style. It's got a combination of creepy, weird goings on and characters, but also I really like the art style. Like I wouldn't call it cute, but it's certainly a pretty looking game at times. The character models and the designs are certainly very cool. There's lots of, and it's just a weird juxtaposition, I suppose, of both cute looking characters and critters, and then really creepy looking characters and critters inside a forest that throughout the trailer at times looks beautiful, but it seems like you travel to I don't know, like an alternate side of it that's a lot darker
some
and
sort
something.
Of fantasy realm.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got like almost, I want to say Pikmin-esque.
Yeah, with the little
gameplay where you've got little creatures that you're getting to do stuff for you.
Yeah. To unlock things and whatever else. But I think this looks really cool. I liked it last time we saw it, which was I think in the one of these they did in like around this time last year or whatever. Remember the indie one they did back then? I'm keen for this. Would this one interest you or too creepy?
No, I wouldn't say too creepy yet, although I'm not a fan of that big massive toad. And it squirts stuff out of its body.
Jedi Fallen Order flashbacks. That's what that is.
Yeah.
The next game. Look, if I actually think this may have been my favorite. I know it's close. This one or the last one on the list is probably my favorite reveal of the ones we got to see. To be honest. I don't know. I'm doing the wrong order. I skipped one. So I'm fucking good. I don't want to.
So this one you don't like at all?
No, I like this one. I like all of them. But I nearly skipped to the one.
I was like, oh yeah, this one makes sense that you would really like it.
I know. Okay. I like all of these games, but I was just thinking that the one. Pause that comment. The one after this one is probably my favorite, to be honest. But I do like all of these games, right? So I wouldn't have included them in the list. So this one is called Astria Ascending, and it's a sort of throwback JRPG to a degree. It has a really cool art style. As the trailer points out, the whole team making it's like a big mixture of, old Square Enix people have formed this new studio or whatever together. I think it looks really cool. The trailer is a little bit corny at times and does that whole JRPG thing where it's sort of overselling characters to make them, I don't know, sound a lot bigger and more interesting than potentially are in a trailer. It has a lot of I don't know if you just saw it there in the video version, but it has like big titty anime girl thing going on as well, which I'm sure works for some of you. I think the gameplay looks really cool. The character designs look really cool for the most part. There's like the backgrounds, whatever you want to call them, the pre-drawn backgrounds, whatever the hell, and that sort of stuff, combination with the full moving backgrounds and stuff. Like it has really cool art design and stuff like that. And I think as far as like being an Xbox exclusive, at least for now, I guess at launch or whatever, is really cool because obviously they don't have
Steam.
Yeah, but I mean, PlayStation console exclusive. Sorry, console exclusive JRPG is pretty big thing for Xbox. I guess they just don't. It's not usually something you see console exclusive Xbox JRPGs. So.
Yeah. So what happened was they saw PlayStation got Final Fantasy 16. They're like, we need to get some of those Japanese people working on one of our games. We need a game with Japanese developers and creators.
This is what they got.
Real quick. This is what they got.
They just made it.
Even though it's
they
made
it in like
studio.
6 months. They just made it in 6 months. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it looks really interesting. Obviously, it's got Final Fantasy vibes. Like even the art, like the graphic at the very ends of the
title card or whatever.
It very much feels like, I want to say tactics.
Yeah, very much. It's
the drawing.
Yeah, it's got the text and then like that sort of what would you call it? Like, I don't know what the official word, like
blue
it's
outline. I guess.
Outline drawing, whatever that's called, like where it's not like fully formed or whatever. Like Final Fantasy does that a lot. Yeah,
just an inked version. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting world, and they've got obviously all these different races of people within the universe. So yeah, they've obviously got some massive fleshed out world. So yeah, it looks pretty interesting. Yeah. Old school turn-based combat.
Yeah, and like it's not just old school turn-based combat, but I guess the other thing I found interesting is it's like a 2D. It's a 2D game. No, you know what I mean? Like you're left to right on the screen. You're not. Maybe there's an overworld map or something like that, but you're not top-down dungeon crawling. You're kind of walking left to right on the screen or whatever. And I'm sure you can enter doors or stuff like that when you get to them to explore areas or whatever, but that also just kind of makes it stand out and look a little bit different. It looks very vanillaware, like, I guess, and all those sort of games, but they're more action games, of course. All right, so this one's probably my favorite, this one we're talking about right now. This game about a crow. He hates his job. I was like,
relatable.
I watched this. So the description here in the thing says, reaping souls of the dead and punching a clock might get what's that word?
Monotonous.
Oh, Jesus fucking. It was all. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Monotonous, but it's honest work for a crow. The job gets lively when your assigned soul is stolen, and you must track down a desperate thief to a realm untouched by death, where creatures grow far past their expiry and overflow with greed and power. So the start of this trailer is really cool. It's got like this full, like CGI, whatever opening cutscene, I guess, from the game or whatever. Straight away, I'm just into the general vibe and the world of the game. Got this fucking crow with like a sword on its back and it's traveling to work on a bus. It's like there's this dude on the street who's like, fuck this shit. You see the security guard, he's like, what's up, dude? Yeah, head on in. He's watching cartoons. Like I could nearly watch this as a TV show, I think, is the thing straight away. And I was waiting for it to go to the gameplay and maybe be like, yeah, okay, the gameplay looks shit, or like this turns me off. Like this opening bit's really cool with interesting character designs or whatever, but I'm totally not into the rest of it. But when it gets to the gameplay, it's top-down action roguelike combat, I guess. It looks super fast-paced, looks super intriguing with different sorts of monsters and different power-ups and abilities that you use, and all sorts of things. Like the crow certainly doesn't move like a crow, that's for sure. But also the crow's animation is like super fluid and whatever else. Like you got these really cool dodge rolls, and all the enemies are doing cool animations. And this looks like it could honestly come out tomorrow just based on trial. Like this looks really put together, really cool. Yeah. There's another fucking frog thing if you're watching the video version. I'm sure Ash hates as well. Death's Door.
That's not as bad. It's not oozing stuff. But, yeah. This looks very promising, obviously, from the team that did Titan Souls. So this looks like a spiritual successor almost to that. Maybe not as difficult potentially.
Yes, but with way cooler characters and world. That grabs me straight away.
Upgraded and stuff. Yeah. But the thing I thought watching this was, whatever happened to that Tunic game? Is that ever coming out?
It's still coming.
Xbox.
That's been made by like one person. Is why it's taking so long. Not even I think it is legit one person, maybe outsourcing for some things, but I think it's just one person.
I think the manager should be crunching.
So, yeah. So Tunic is still coming. But yeah, I did think about that actually the other day as well, but randomly something else reminded me of it. Actually, no, it was when I was in Canberra and I went to the fucking zoo. And I was like, when's Tunic coming?
You saw a fox and you're like, what's Tunic coming
here's my train of thought. Side story real quick. I saw a red panda, right? Which looked like foxes. Now, there was an indie game. There was an indie game we played called like Fairy or something. I can't remember the exact title of it.
I remember it being not well received.
Really? No, it's not out.
No, yeah. I'm pretty sure it is.
No, it's Australian. It's like an Australian.
Unless we're thinking a different one.
You play as a red panda. Is why I thought of the game. So it's not called. I can't remember what it's called. I wrote a preview for it. It's definitely there's things we posted about it. I can't remember the name. Anyway, that game you play as a red panda. Except for when I was playing the game, played it. I'm like, oh, you're playing as a fox, and everyone kept saying the same thing. Actually, the girl who does the art for it drew me and Shree a little fox thing while we were standing on a little piece of paper. That was her thing to help promote the game. As people were playing the demo, the artist was drawing people these little sketches because like she's fucking hardcore and stuff. Still got that somewhere, I think. Anyway, so my point was, I thought he was playing at a fox, and she's like, no, it's a red panda. And I remember Googling red pandas and being like, damn, red pandas kind of look like foxes. Hey. And then I was in the zoo. I'm like, oh, there's a red panda. It made me think of that game. And then because that game makes me think of foxes, then I thought about foxes for real. And you know what's in Tunic, Ash? It's a fox. So there's Dylan's train of thought while at the zoo. At that Canberra Zoo. It was a whole spectrum. And then I was like, hey, PAX, when's that happening? Quick side story before we continue all this, since I remember PAX now. Hey, everyone, PAX tickets went on sale on Monday or Tuesday or whenever the fuck it was. Tuesday.
Congrats to the 116 people going to PAX.
Yeah, congrats to the very short number of people that got it. Look, honestly, I didn't put it in the show notes because it's just, look, someone there made a shitty decision not to, who legit thought that they wouldn't get pummeled that much and was like, no, this place will be fine. Of course, the servers broke on the hosting place. They were just trying to sell tickets and straight away they broke because there was at least a couple of thousand people probably trying to buy tickets. I'm sure it's not like, millions. It's not like playing a PlayStation 5. It's not a worldwide thing. But there would have been at least thousands, I would presume, trying to buy PAX tickets at the same time. And of course it broke. So now they're like, oh, we got to wait. New tickets go up and stuff. Anyway, so I don't want to shit on everyone at PAX. I don't think there's any reason for everyone to yell at them on Twitter. It's not really helping the situation. I'm sure they would happily want to sell out. That's kind of what their job is. So they're not doing it on purpose. However, someone there did. One person, I'm sure, made that sort of dumb decision, because it is a dumb decision to be like, we don't need a better set. But anyway, it's not the end of the world. Everyone calm down. A lot of people complaining on Twitter like they're going to fucking, like they've missed out. It's like barely anyone got tickets. We all are in the same position. Everyone's just fucking chill, Where was we at? Death Store.
Side note.
Yeah.
I found the Panda game from PAX
is
Aluri. Aliri?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Ailuri.
I'm going to say that sounds right because I said fairy and that sounds like that.
Correct. Well, I'm very sure it's correct because there's a YouTube video of you that's the top result for the name of the game.
Well, the only person talking about it. There you go. You click on the video?
Yeah, from 2018.
Let me find this real quick. What do I type in the YouTube so I can bring this up on the... What's it called?
Ailuri.
Alluri. I must have spelled it wrong. Oh, no, yeah, I found it. Okay. Yeah, here it is. I'm bringing it up.
See? Above Pixel Shift.
Hey, Pixel Shift 8-1, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so if you want to watch this video, if you want to check out me and Shree talking about the games right here, you can head to youtube.com.
But yeah, that's not the Red Panda game I was thinking of. I can't remember.
It definitely wasn't. I was like, there's no way.
There was like a big 3D platformer where you end up getting a gun like halfway through.
No. This is definitely not this one. This is like a 2D, whatever. It's a side scrolling. This is very heavily inspired by Ori and the Blind Forest, is what this game is. That's the genre I'd put it as. So yeah, if you want to watch that video, youtube.com/Explosion Network. There you go. PAX 2018. That's from, because back in the day. Hey. All right, Death Store. We all voted, right? That's my favorite. Where's it at for you? Is this your favorite? Is your favorite still to come? What do you reckon? What's your favorite
of this list?
Of these 6.
I think it might still be to come.
Okay, we'll keep going then.
It's pretty close.
It's fine. I'm very, very keen for this one. They sent out a cool co-op trailer. So I remember this game got announced during the indie thing, the event everyone got pissed off about at the start of last year as well, I remember. Really cool. And this is a hardcore, action-heavy trailer compared to the first trailer, the initial trailer they put out for this thing. This one is like, we're going to show you heaps of shit blowing up and how much action's happening on the screen at the same time. And like, hell yeah, you want to play this. But for people who can't remember, The Scent is a co-op, I guess, twin stick shooter. Easiest way to describe what it looks like. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that, as I've talked about, like RPG elements and these sorts of things and looting and whatever. But you can play it with 3 other friends. It's like set in a cyberpunk world where I think the story off the top of my head was something where it's like you're basically starting at the bottom, like the slums area of this world, and your goal is to move up to the top level and sort of take down the corporate overworlds or whatever, that sort of thing is the direction I think the story was looking. But yeah, this looks really, really cool. And I think the other thing that was grabbing my attention about this is I'm legit just like, man, it's been a while since I've played this sort of game. You know what I mean? Like a top-down twin stick sort of heavy action thing. Every time I see stuff like this, I just think of like Dead Nation or Alien Nation or like all of all of those games, of course.
All the games that they used to make.
All the games they used to make, and I'm sure maybe Returnal hit but it's not going to hit it's third person. It's not really. It's not really going to hit my hectic action buzz, I guess, like this will. But Returnal's the only thing I can think that's coming up with a similar sort of just like hectic action stuff happening to it. But yeah, how do you feel about this? Would you be keen to play this?
Yeah, I think that would be a fun co-op game. I assume, Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been marketed, it's been pushed as play this in co-op, not single player.
Local co-op. I thought it was also interesting that it seems to switch over to like a side-scrolling, almost view at certain points. Kind of switch things up as well. So yeah,
cinematic moments. They go sideways and do you need to do? Yeah, it looks really cool. I also think there's just like you could very easily brush over this and be like, how's this have any sort of next gen features? But I think if you actually watch the gameplay and you see the amount of visual effects, debris, smoke effects, general amount of different sort of particle effects and stuff happening on screens, it's all sorts of games can look and run a lot better. Like, and it'll be running at 60. Console and all this sort of thing. So even genres like this where everyone thought, well, how do they get better? They get better, like everything, especially for console players. So, I'm keen for that one as well. Next game, the last one, I presume this is one you're most keen for?
Yep.
Is it because it looks like a game you put a lot of hours into? Called...
Yeah, a little bit.
What the fuck's that game called again? The dead person one?
The Binding of Isaac?
Yeah, that one. Is it because it looks like Binding of Isaac?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, so there you go. I fucking knew it. So Nobody Saves the World. So this is the thing that I was most excited about from the event. They kind of announced ahead of the show. They were like, Drinkbox Studios, the people who made Guacamelee 2, and Severed? I think that's what it's called, right? Which was on Vita first, and then went to other
Severed.
thing. Yeah. I think that's their only 3 games, unless I'm forgetting something. But
I believe so.
Yeah. So this is their brand new game. It's been a hot minute since we got a brand new game from Drinkbox, and it is very much as I've talked about in the press release and this sort of thing. It's inspired by Zelda to a degree, but the gameplay, as I just said, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is looking a lot more like Binding of Isaac type stuff, because it sets up with a cool story where it's like, hey, it says the Calamity. I'm like, come on. Zelda inspired, you're going to say the Calamity as as the name of a big event, which is literally what they, Breath of the Wild. They're like, oh, the Calamity happened. All right, everyone calm down, So anyway, some wizard who's supposed to save the world disappears, and I guess you play as the person who picks up the magical wand or whatever, as you see in the trailer. And then it seems as you progress through the game, you'll be able to transform into a whole number of different creatures. Characters, things. I don't really know. You can see it in the trailer here. It's almost like Rogue Legacy like, but of course it's not like a family tree. It's more just like different things, different creatures, different characters, and they all have their own unique abilities and things. And a lot of them seem really tough, and a lot of them just seem kind of silly. Like at one point there, if you're watching the video version of the trailer, you literally see for a hot second you're playing as a fucking turtle. A tiny turtle. So yep. I don't know what the hell is exactly going on there, but I don't know. Yeah, it looks like a lot, but it looks really cool. It looks like a mix of intense, hardcore-ish gameplay that they're sort of known for Guacamelee. But I guess that makes sense. Like Guacamelee was both ridiculous and silly in tone and humor, but then also had that sort of hardcore platforming underlining, like was the backbone of the game, I guess. So, and that's what this looks like. It looks like it's got that, hard gameplay that people love from Drinkbox with that humor and character work that they kind of made them popular with Guacamelee 1 originally. So this is your favorite. What stands out to you as the
craziness of it, I think. And it obviously roguelike. And this kind of randomness, and it looks like it'll be very replayable. And again, very much feels like Binding of Isaac to a certain degree. Like Binding of Isaac, you pick up different random things that alter the way you play the game, like change your weapons and that kind of thing. This one, you just change your forms a lot, and the constant like getting achievements. Like if they changed it to like trophy unlocked each time you finish a task, it'd be your favorite game ever.
Well, I mean, it's not coming to PlayStation as far as we know just yet, so it's Xbox exclusive, at least for now. So, and I doubt I'm going to wait to play it. I just want to play it when it comes out, So, but Nobody Saves the World looks really, really cool. So that's coming to. I think all these games so far, at least from memory, all of them are both Xbox One and Xbox XS as well. And of course, PC probably. So,
they're all on Steam.
Yeah. So it isn't but they're all Xbox. They're all console exclusives, which I guess
they're all coming to
PC.
console
Never matters in these conversations anymore. The important thing is like is it Xbox getting a game that people want from PlayStation? Because Guacamelee had a big PlayStation fan. Like, I think Guacamelee was launched on PlayStation? Or maybe talking about Mars, but
PlayStation 3, yeah.
Yeah, like at least I know.
4, yeah.
Yeah, it was big within the PlayStation audience, so. And of course, they did Severed, PS Vita exclusive. So I think their audience was PlayStation centric, and now they've gone for the PC Xbox thing or whatever. So that's cool. But anyway, that's 6 really cool games from that thing. I think they're all great. I'd happily play all of those now, tomorrow, whenever. So that's exciting. Of course, Depth Store's my pick. Ash's pick is Nobody Saves the World, but the other 4 are really cool as well. Then the last piece of news, if you want to watch the whole thing, of course, there's more games, but the last sort of piece of news alongside this was 22. They announced 22 games within this showcase, all of which will be launching day and date on Xbox Game Pass. And most of these are, as we just said, PC and Xbox, so they're all, of course, Game Pass PC plus Game Pass console. I'll run through them quickly, just in case there's any, if you want to hear some standout ones. So, Art of the Rally, most of these are 2021, so I'm just not going to skip things. Art of the Rally, Astro Ascending, Backbone, Boyfriend Dungeon, Craftopia, Dead Static Drive, Edge of Eternity, Hello Neighbor 2, Library of Runia, Little Witch in the Woods, Moonglow Bay, Narita Boy, Nobody Saves the World, Omno, Recompile, Sable, She Dreams Elsewhere, Stalker 2, The Ascent.
Wasn't that already out? I feel like that was...
Stalker 2? They haven't even shown gameplay.
Stalker 2.
They put out that one trailer last year. They literally have not even shown gameplay. They put out a thing during this, which literally just shows character models showing off how they're doing teeth individually. Bit weird, but cool. And then they also went over like in-depth character detail and gun models. But they have not actually shown gameplay for this game yet. And then The Ascent, Undungeon, Way to the Woods, The Wild at Heart. So they were 22 they announced would be coming. Of course, you would have noticed a bunch of the 6 games we just talked about were confirmed to be launching this year on Game Pass. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the other ones are launching Game Pass as well. They just didn't announce it today. So that's cool. Game Pass, as Ash says, is the worst thing ever, but here's a way you got all these cool games coming. So
I don't know if I said the worst thing ever.
I mean, from your business side says it's the worst set ever. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But, Microsoft's got money to burn. They've...
Sure. We'll come back to Microsoft money to burn in 2 stories' time. Give Microsoft a break for a second. Ghostwire Tokyo developer Ikumi Nakamura has set up her own studio. So in case you don't remember, Nakamura, of course, she came out on stage back in September 2019, as writes VG247, and says a few months after her popular on-stage appearance at E3, she disappeared. Where she came out, she's like, I'm working on Ghostwire Tokyo. Everyone loved it. The internet fell in love with her. Everyone was like, oh, isn't she great? Look at this game developer. There was a lot of, she's
great. I'm excited to see what she does with
Ghostwire
Bethesda
Tokyo
in the future.
Yeah. And then she pretty much left like a month after E3. So
what?
So in this, they point out she did a Play Diaries 90-minute doco thing that you can watch in full. And in that, when she's so we now have like an answer from her as to what will happen. And she says, quote, when you get ideas and work in a team, there can be some problems that come with it. It arrived at the point it got to my health. You can't make games if you're not healthy. I started wondering whether there wasn't a way for me to make games while feeling better. I took the decision to quit before it was too late. Now, look, I don't think it's hard to read between the lines there and go, there was a lot of disagreements happening between her and what's his face, who I can't remember, who's the head of
Tango
Gameworks. Is how I'm reading that. Because of course he had been the head dog on every other one of their games, and it was
Shinji Mikami.
Yeah. And when they said this one, when she came out on stage, Nakamura, when she came out on stage at E3 and was like, hey, I'm sort of heading up this game. I remember everyone, including myself at the time, was like, oh, this seems a bit crazy for him to be passing over the thing. And now reading this, it makes me sound like maybe he was trying, but he couldn't let go of the reins enough a bit. Maybe there was a bunch of conflict there, especially because the game she talked about, the game she described on stage that day, doesn't really add up to what we know the game looks like now. The game now looks a lot less creepy. It now looks more like, as I've said before, it looks like Bleach.
I don't think that's the word she used.
Spooky.
Use the word spooky.
Yeah. It doesn't look as spooky anymore, and it looks just like Bleach, the anime, where you're fighting like ghost type things, demon type things in the street, and it doesn't look like it has as much.
To be fair, we haven't seen it since.
We haven't for a while, but this is based off the last gameplay they released like a couple of months ago, and I just think that maybe the change of tone and stuff like that was potentially because, and maybe that's what they were disagreeing about. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, I guess the important takeaway, because we're not going to get the whole story presumably, the important takeaway is she said it was affecting her health. She got out. Good for her. More power to her. And now. It says here, since leaving Tango, Nakamura toured other studios and worked freelance. After traveling around the world visiting various studios, she decided to start her own, which is small and isn't named in a documentary. She said, quote, "It was a chance for me to travel and learn what made a good working environment. I decided to use that experience to open my small studio and build my IP. I want to try my hand at an IP and a studio." So I just, even when she's like, I want to discover what a good working environment looks like, it's like, that does not scream well for Tango Gameworks at all. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, I had to go to all these other studios to see what it's like for people not to hate their job. it's kind of bad, but good for her. I think everyone would be keen the day that, we finally get more information on what she's working on, even if it's obviously a lot smaller game than what she would have been working on at Tango. I'm sure when she officially announces her first game, everyone will be all eyes on it, given she's got this sort of internet fame now. Yeah, I guess especially within the gamer community. So good for her for getting out there. Good job. All right. So let's talk about him. Bald-headed prick from Parliament. Press start.
Real life Lex Luthor.
Well,
that's real life dumb Lex Luthor.
Yeah. That's one way to put it. Peter Dutton, Rise Press Up. Peter Dutton suggested that Grand Theft Auto could be partly to blame for men's toxic behavior. Shannon writes, "Oh no. It is no secret that Canberra has been rightfully under fire over the last month or so after several cases of harassment against women were brought to light. There's been a number of missteps and fumblings by the government officials since, and of course video games had to take part in the blame. As spotted by Kotaku, Peter Dutton, the Minister for Home Affairs, took to the Today Show this morning and suggested that the toxic behaviour displayed by men was linked to young boys playing Grand Theft Auto and watching TikTok. He also says that this needs to be spoken about more often as part of an ongoing conversation about the treatment of women that's happening around the country at the moment." The quote is, here he says, "If you're playing Grand Theft Auto as a 13-year-old boy, in that game, not just, drive cars recklessly, you can go for a lap dance. You can go and shoot police. So we need to have a broader conversation about the influence on those young boys, both in a family setting and a societal setting, and particularly online." So, of course, when this...
Wait, so let me get this straight. So there's this minister that was accused of raping somebody.
Yeah.
33 years ago. So at some point, he traveled forward in time, played Grand Theft Auto for several hours, went back to his original timeline, and then committed an assault. Yeah. Is that what Peter Dutton is saying?
That's the number one thing that confuses me most about this is literally that. I mean, there's many things wrong with this, but if you want to stick it within the confines of why the conversation happened in the first place, which is discussion around what's happening in Parliament within Australian government at the moment and accusations there within his own party, of course, the fact that he brings up TikTok and video games as the defense arguments as to why...
Two things he's likely never used.
Two things he likely has never used, and likely all these pricks who are doing these horrible things have, well, maybe they've used TikTok, who fucking knows, but I highly doubt you could put the blame on fucking Craft. What do they play? It's such a weird defense for that. But then it's also, and I mean, look, we've seen this argument brought up so many times throughout history. You know, like the whole video games make people be violent. Video games cause people to be like turn into sexist pigs. Video games turn men against women, men, whatever, like to turn you violent. We see all these conversations happening all the time. There's, you know, we're constantly seeing conversations, especially in America. They bring it up a lot whenever there's gun violence. Of course, the people in America, the officials over there. I think Ted Cruz.
I don't know if they do. I think they've realized it's too much of a cliche.
No, Ted Cruz has done it a lot.
Doesn't work.
Ted Cruz has at least tried it a lot that I've seen, where he's at least tried to put the blame on video games. The NRA, in particular, like to put the blame on video games and say, "Hey, it's not that guns aren't the problem. It's the video games that are making people do it." So the NRA does love to do that over there, but of course they would, because they want to.
They want to
protect guns,
keep guns.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not a
gun lives matter, Dylan. Gun lives matter.
Yeah. It's not like a new conversation, but I just think, like, within the confines of such a serious, and you can't really understate how big of a deal what's happening in Australian government at the moment is. And I think to downplay how fucked up and, you know, maybe once in a lifetime what's happening in Australian government at the moment is, you'd kind of be doing a disservice, because it potentially is like once in a lifetime, hopefully once in a lifetime, you know, like I can't imagine these sorts of stories happening, and it's a complete shake-up. And the fact that he thinks, I mean, I'm not surprised. Look who runs our country. Scott Morrison's over there just downplaying shit left, right and center. But the fact that he thinks that within such a serious topic and conversation that he can sort of shift the blame onto video games and TikTok to a degree and whatever else, I just think it's so, like, and I guess the other thing, when I saw this, I was like, please, all the gamers, please don't turn this into the video games are the most important thing here. Cause like, that's not what cause it's like, you know what I mean? They like, let's not swerve the conversation, cause then he kind of wins at that point.
It's like, protect video games. No. That's not the main thing.
Yeah.
It's calling out a douche for trying to deflect from the main
that's
problem at hand.
Yes, that's exactly my point, which I guess is the thing, because I did see a degree of that. Everyone, you know, to a degree, you see in the comments, people responding. Sometimes if I clicked in their profiles, I could tell they were like kids or whatever, like fucking 14, 15-year-olds or whatever. So maybe they don't get it. They're automatically on the Defend Call of Duty Grand Theft Auto bandwagon. But like, if everyone starts doing that and that becomes the narrative of the stories, which they're not, you know, as I just read through the press start one, the way this is worded, the way the Kotaku's story is worded, every game outlet I've seen write about this, I haven't really seen anyone else write about it, but all the game outlets I've seen write about it have wrote about it correctly, which is to focus it on being like he's trying to swerve away from an important topic. But yeah, it's not really great, is it? Like, as Shannon finishes up in his article here, it says video games have been linked to violence and inappropriate behaviour many times before, particularly by Australian government officials and on breakfast talk shows. Right now, more than ever, especially in the context of the respectful treatment of women, it does feel like a bit of a stretch and totally out of place. Needless to say, women have been experiencing toxic behaviour long before the advent of video games, or TikTok for that matter, which I did see someone else on Twitter point out as well. I was like, what? Like, I want to go back before video games and like, what was I actually don't know, because I guess we didn't have as much media.
It's film and TV.
Yeah, I guess it was. But
all these films are so violent. Killing everybody.
It would have been, because they were banned in like all the horror
all
movies. All
these books are so violent.
I guess book burnings and stuff, you know. So it's always...
all these stories told by people in the street. So violent.
It's always... possibly.
All these drawings on the wall. So violent.
Probably. Which, I mean, the moral of that story, because all of that's, as much as all of that's funny, probably true as well. Some of it we know is true. They did blame it on film, music as well, of course. More of the story is men throughout history just always trying to swerve swerve any old blame.
It's not our fault, you know?
Yeah. So,
I mean, someone from PR should have told them this wasn't going to work. You know? It's like,
I don't know.
So I'm thinking about blaming it on video games. Do you think this TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok thing.
TikTok.
I heard Donald Trump talk about it. I heard that's he hates it.
We'll stop the boats. You know, and no one shot him down. So, surrounded by yes people.
He's
or
just
probably yes man.
You watch that 55-second clip, and it's just watching someone who just eats his own ass for breakfast just talk. Like, it's just just utter nonsense. And yeah, I don't know. There's not much else to say about it, of course. Just don't let this bullshit, especially if they continue it. Don't suddenly be like, oh, I got to protect the video games sort of thing. It's like, look, grandma and grandpa at home reading the paper, maybe they're like, oh yes, he's probably right. But everyone else is going, no, just a bit of a cunt, aren't you, Dutton? Shut the fuck up,
No.
Stop switching the blame.
Nice try.
All right, last story. Microsoft wants to buy Discord. So, Kotaku writes, Bloomberg is reporting. I'll bridge there for a second. Bloomberg is reporting that Microsoft is one of several companies in talks to purchase chat and community platform Discord for a price said to be in excess of $10 billion. The report says Microsoft is in the running, but continuing and no deal has been made yet. It's not clear who the other companies would be, but it said that both Epic and Amazon have similar talks in the past. And then they did an update for the story and says Bloomberg now reports that Microsoft is exclusively in talks, ruling out other companies who also said that they could complete a deal next month, assuming negotiations don't fall apart. And in case you're not looking at your calendar, technically next month could be next week. Yeah, it could be. Next month is technically next week. So on the in case you don't know, I don't know how you would not know, but in a word, if you don't know, Discord is a chat service. It's what we use to chat when we record this show for a start, as we're the video version right now, or the audio version, however you're in. This is what me and Ash are using to talking. It also has a bunch of servers that you can create your own, and then you can create rooms in those, and you can talk, share videos. I guess it's like Reddit or anything else, except for you can have a lot more administrative tools.
If you want to know what Discord is like, go to explosionnetwork.com/Discord, join our Discord server, and then you can check it out and see what it's like.
That's exactly right.
And then enjoy it before we get bought out by Microsoft, apparently.
So I want to sort of take this on two. I've got two key questions to lead this discussion, I guess. But firstly, it's worth pointing out, and people have done this online, they've been like, look, Microsoft brought Skype and then they fucked it. And now I've seen a lot of people on that line, they're like, Microsoft fucked Skype. I've seen counter arguments.
For years, Skype was the number one thing for video messaging. You didn't say, I'm going to have a video message. You said, I was going to Skype somebody. And then when the biggest pandemic in the world happened, nobody used Skype.
No one used Skype. That's true.
Even though it's installed on every single PC in the world.
Yeah.
Didn't use Skype.
I mean, but there's lots of weird things. Like Microsoft also made Microsoft Teams or whatever they've got now. And there's like, okay, I know, shooting yourself. I know. There's just so many now. It's weird. I've seen
overlapping themselves.
Counter arguments though. People go that Microsoft didn't ruin Skype. Skype failed themselves. Like they would have failed themselves even if they'd stayed by themselves. Like, and I don't actually know. I'm just pointing out the two conversations.
You can't blame Skype when they're owned by Microsoft.
Yeah, but they weren't being.
You blame the person above at the top of the.
Yeah, but then you're
at the top
potentially, and they said letting. I don't know how much control. I haven't done enough research. I don't know if I could find an answer quickly enough. But when Microsoft brought Skype, where did they leave the same people in charge? Was Skype free to sort of still run their own ship? You know what I mean? Like, or are we saying that Microsoft brought Skype and then Microsoft was running Skype? You know, there's two different scenarios. I don't know. I'm on neither side here. I'm just bringing up the two things here because that's worth pointing out for the key argument that everyone's having about this.
Well, I mean, if say Naughty Dog made a bad game, would you blame Naughty Dog or would you blame Sony?
You'd blame Naughty Dog.
Or was it Sony's fault for not making Naughty Dog to make a better game?
No, Naughty Dog, because I know how they work, and it would be their own.
Not checking.
It would be their own fault.
Right.
So I guess that answers that. There you go, done. But yeah, I mean, I was just pointing it out because the key topic of discussion I've had around this is okay, if Microsoft buys Discord, if this happens, Discord's just going to go to shit because Microsoft is going to ruin it. That seems to be the number one sort of negative point of view I've seen. I personally have a more sense of hope, I guess. I don't think it's surprising that Microsoft is buying Discord. I mean, in all the talks we had prior to the next gen, now current gen consoles launching, I kept being like, oh man, I hope PlayStation can do a deal with Discord because I really wanted Discord to just be integrated into consoles. I would have even loved if Discord just did a deal with every video game company and Discord was just integrated into everything, and then you could just have party chats and do what you want to do from any console to any console, do what you need to do, blah, 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 blah. So, and I that's something I was going to point out for people who may be not aware, I guess, but Discord was built as a gamer-centric platform, where Skype was just general public, of course. So Microsoft are buying a gamer-centric thing, so they would presumably be doing it for that more so, and would still be keeping Skype and whatever for general public, like still pushing that as like, we've got this, use this. Whereas you're buying Discord because it has the target audience of, every Twitch streamer has one. We have one, exposurenetwork.com/Discord. Like everyone's got, all the gamers have their own servers and whatever else. I think it's a good buy. I think it would be worth the money. I think it's fantastic service. Of course, everyone, we all use it. I think if they integrate it into Xbox, if they integrate it into PC, if they integrate it into their phone app and everything like that, and then you can have these fantastic party chats and everything's just linked up really well. If you can like automatically share pictures and videos and stuff from your console to your Discord server, and then people can watch that. Like, there's so many cool things that they could do if done correctly, and it seems like a no-brainer, a great. It's better than what they already have. It's better than what any gaming company currently has as far as a community building tool, I guess. More so than just a messaging tool, it's a community building tool, So, yeah, how do you feel about it? You like, this is terrible, or?
I mean, it's fine. I would feel better if it wasn't owned by Microsoft, purely because, obviously Microsoft doesn't have the best track record. Not only Skype, but also what was the streaming service they had that they sold because they couldn't do it properly?
I don't know. Doesn't ring any bells.
The Mixer.
Oh, Mixer, right? Yeah.
How quickly we forget.
I legit forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. I would feel better if it was like its own thing, completely separate to anything and everything, But $10 billion. That's a lot of money.
Pretty penny.
More than ZeniMax. Yeah. So, I mean, clearly they think it's worth it, and I mean, I wouldn't turn down $10 billion.
No.
Even though, it's almost on the scale of buying a Twitter or a Facebook, almost. Well, a little bit lower, but
it must
almost
be
buying your own social network.
I mean, I'm not a business person, but I presume if that's the price that they're bargaining with, it must be worth that much.
Yeah.
The fact that they said Epic was in talks or Amazon was both in talks, that makes sense to me. Epic would love to own this. Amazon, I'm surprised, doesn't already own this because Amazon's had a great integrated relationship with Discord for some time.
Xbox has had integration with Discord as well. They've had their 3-month Nitro trials with the Game Pass and that kind of stuff.
I guess it's more recent, whereas Amazon has for ages, being a big part. And also the fact that Amazon goes to Twitch. Twitch is synonymous with Discord. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole grouping there where you're like, weren't they the kind of relationship that you could have believed if I told you they were already owned by the same company? You would have been like, oh, that makes sense, sort of thing. But they're owned by their own. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It could happen next week. It could happen several weeks from now. It could not happen at all.
Or it could not happen at all. Yeah.
But I only brought it up because it's the way it's being reported is it's
a done deal.
It's sounding like, it's at that, like, we just need to shake hands in person over a boardroom meeting.
Just trying to figure out how the money is going to be transferred.
Yeah.
is it direct debit or or are we going to have to send the money in cash?
Yes, all of that. So we'll see. It's definitely an interesting thing, and I'll be keen, and it'll be quite interesting to see what would change in Discord in the immediate future following them buying it, and then what would change over a slower amount of time, I guess. Right, I wanted to give my brief impressions of Monster Hunter Rise. And I will say brief because I've only put in probably, I don't know, maybe 4 hours approaching it, which I guess in the scheme of things is not actually that many hours at all, of course, with a Monster Hunter game, these big RPGs and exciting things and Monster Truck Day. Anyway, the more important thing is this is actually my first Monster Hunter game. So I guess my impressions are more how I feel and am I interested to keep playing a Monster Hunter game more so than how do I feel about Rise at the moment, since I definitely feel like I'm only just scratching the surface of the game and couldn't give my full thoughts on the game as a whole. So I don't know, like if you haven't tried a Monster Hunter and you don't really know much about them, my quick overview of what the game is, I guess, for anyone who hasn't tried one out or is like me, it is I guess, repetitive game, but in a good way, because it is literally in the title. You are simply hunting monsters. And if you're not hunting monsters, you're messing around in the town, interacting with NPCs, looking to buy and upgrade your gear. The gameplay loop is as simple as the title, and maybe a lot less complicated than I expected it to be, because it is as simple as you kill monsters to take their skin, claws, meats, whatever, and then you either turn that into other pieces of gear that you can wear. Some of it looks cool, some of it looks crash, and an assortment of weapons, and that's it. Or you sell it to buy potions and items to continue that loop. It's really not that complicated. Now, this is made by the Handheld team. I know that much by my quick Wikipedia search, because I'm not that silly, and I know that this is quite different. This is not the full scale. I've got Monster Hunter World was the one that kind of took off, of course, and is the best-selling Monster Hunter game so far. But this one brings it sort of back to basics. I've seen a lot of people online say this is the easiest one to get into, which is great for me, as I said, because it's my first one. And it is relatively simple. You start in a hub world. The game does a lot of tutorials to get you into the game. And then the hub world isn't that big, the village that you hang around. And then it's as simple as going to the person that gives you your quests. You go, hey, I want to take this quest. You go out into, I guess you'd call it like a biome. And as you progress through the game, you'll unlock more. Currently, I only have 2 biomes unlocked to me, areas to hunt monsters. And when you go in there, it'll clearly show you on the map where the target is that you want to track down. So it's not hard. It's not like you're going to get lost or anything crazy like that, which is good. And then you can go straight to the monsters that you need to kill, and you can kill it, and your mission will finish, and it'll automatically have a countdown, and it'll take you back to the village where you can choose another mission, so on and so forth, if you want to. Or you can spend a lot of time exploring the area if you want to. There are some secrets to be found, be that like sort of collectible things that give you lore. There's extra materials to be found that you'll need to either upgrade your gear as well, or things like honey that you need to make max potions and stuff like this. Or you can spend a lot of time mucking around with this game's core, most interesting system, as far as I'm concerned, which is the wire bugs, which is basically, if you've seen Attack on Titan, it's Attack on Titan to a degree, which is that you have, and this is for the first time, the other games don't have this, you have this, like, much like Attack on Titan, you have this wire grappling hook thing that kind of can shoot you around the area, and you can use this both in combat to, of course, dodge out of the way, like realign yourself when you get knocked onto the ground. You can sort of dodge roll and land back on your feet. You can do it but all weapons in the game also have a special move that uses the wire bug, and I guess that's the standout thing. All of them perform differently, and all of the weapons, at least I've tried out so far, and I guess this is just a Monster Hunter thing in general, but all of the weapons feel drastically different, and it's very much like, oh, I like this one, this suits my playstyle. I don't like this one, this doesn't suit my playstyle. Maybe I'll have to switch up my playstyle more as I continue playing, I guess, to get better at, like, maybe certain enemies require it. I don't really know if there's certain enemies that require certain weapons or not. I will find out in the future, I'm sure. But I mean, that's it. And I am enjoying it. I guess that's the key thing. Am I enjoying my first Monster Hunter experience at around 4 hours? Yes, I am. I'm very keen to play more. I would be playing more right now if I wasn't recording this, but here we are. I'm enjoying the loop. I could very easily see myself putting on a podcast, a TV show I don't need to pay too much attention to onto the side, and doing some of the easier quests or maybe some of the repetitive ones to farm up items. It's very much like got that sort of thing to it. The main quest line is very easy to stick to. It's like, here's your main quests. If you want to frontline these to get to the end of the game, or I presume it doesn't really have an end because, you know, there is some sort of end game. They've already announced DLCs coming end of April. But so more content on the way, more monster hunting things to do. And I barely touched the surface, to be honest. There's things I'm just discovering now. There's a whole buddy system where you've got the cat and the dog things, palicos and palamons. I think that's what they're called. I don't know. I'm a newbie. You can like send them on quests to find items for you. So there's like a whole sub game inside the game thing happening, and then you can like also send them off to dojos to train them, and they you can set them to either heal with you in battle or like do support things or be like super aggressive to fight monsters, and how you want to do that's up to you. And then you can also give them heaps of different gear. Honestly, I guess the number one thing I've taken away from this, and because I was always scared of Monster Hunter, every time someone talked about World and was like, man, Monster Hunter World is great, super hardcore, you gotta prepare for all the monster to track down the monsters. It takes like an hour to track down the monster before you can even fight the freaking thing. This one is definitely more my style, because even before work today, where I had an hour free, I fought one large monster and did a bunch of smaller monster quests. And that's because it's a handheld quotation marks. It's a handheld Monster Hunter game, which means you can jump in and out of the monster hunts quick and easy. And I guess maybe that's a negative for people who are used to World and who've played World. But for someone like me, for getting into the franchise for the first time, or maybe some people prefer it this way, it's a lot more accessible. It's a lot more like I can achieve something and feel like I've done something in a shorter burst of time. And that's definitely the thing that's kind of keeping me away from the franchise before when World was out. And even Iceborne, where it's like, hey, you want to get into Iceborne? I was like, I know it kind of looks cool, but I don't know if I have the time to commit to learning this game. So, I'm enjoying it. I'm very keen to play more. I'm sure I'll talk about it more next week or the week after once I've got some more thoughts on this sort of thing. So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm having a great time. That's the important piece of information. One other quick game I want to talk about, even though I've kind of dabbled in I've been dabbling in a bunch of mobile games and stuff lately. Not only one I've put enough time into that I want to give my impressions on, which is the latest Crash Bandicoot game. It got announced like a year ago. It actually took a lot longer to come out than I thought it would, to be completely honest. But it's called Crash on the Run. It's made by King. It is an infinite runner that's not really an infinite runner. Like, and if you know those types of games, it's the one where, if you haven't played it, I guess, but it is the ones where there's like 3 tracks on the field, if you want to call it that, I guess. And you simply swipe left or you swipe right to switch which track you're on. Now, of course, being Crash Bandicoot thing, the added thing is swipe down to slide under things, swipe up to jump over things, and then tap the screen will make Crash do his spin, of course, because that's what it's all about. The thing that I guess interests me most about this one is that it has a clear path, like story path, if you want to call it that, I guess, an actual story to this happening, where the levels have an end. Like, and each level takes you maybe 30 seconds to a minute, which is, super accessible being a mobile game. You can jump in, do a couple levels, actually finish them. So it's on an infinite runner, at least in the core mode. So that is fun. It has the music of Crash Bandicoot. It looks really good. It looks like Crash Bandicoot. It has like all the Crash Bandicoot oozings of styles. It's like, if you love Crash Bandicoot, then the visual flair and general presentation of the game is going to interest you. You're going to be totally into that. It's got all, so far it's got all of the gangs here, all of the bad guys that you love to hate, they're here. So that's fun. None of the boss battles are super complicated. It's like once you do a bunch of levels, you reach the boss. The boss is like sort of in front of you, and of course, like running backwards, they'll throw like different, like be it boulders or like fire spells or what have you, and you sort of just have to either jump or dodge or get out of the way, spin them sometimes or whatever, and then you try and like spin their attacks back at them. It's all very simple stuff. Now, the thing that sort of makes this an annoying, of course, there's always going to be a it's an annoying mobile game, they want microtransactions, here where they try and fuck you, is you have to do any of the levels, be it the big boss levels or the 4 that you have to do before you can reach the boss. You have to bring in a certain assortment of potions, which you'll use against the boss at the end to beat them. To make the potions, you need to get ingredients. And then even when you have the ingredients, you need to wait a certain amount of time for the potions to be made. Now, so far, where I'm at, and I've probably put a couple hours into this game, honestly, over the last week, just here and there, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there kind of thing. The potions don't take that long to make so far. I can see them in the end game, towards the end. I can see them getting to a stage where they're like, oh, this potion takes half an hour, because there's already a button that's like spend money, basically real world money, just to speed up the process, which heaps of mobile games have, and it's probably the thing I hate the most. It turns me off mobile games in general, just like the just easy, simple, bullshitty cash grab nonsense. It annoys me. But also to get the ingredients to make the potions, you can basically do infinite run levels, where it'll literally be, they'll kind of go forever, kind of infinite run, because they'll tell you the amount of resources they have that you can find within that level, and the level kind of loops, and there's different. So at one point you can take a left path or a right path, so you can kind of loop around and try and get all of the ingredients within that level, and then the ingredients, of course, refresh every 12 hours or something like that. You can pay real money to get them to refresh early if that's something you want to do, of course, if that's the way you like to use your money. So all of it's not too annoying so far. I can definitely see it reaching a point where it's going to be annoying, and it's just kind of tedious to deal with, the fact you can't just play the levels or whatever. There's some cool things in here. There's like a bot. There's like a co-op, what do you call it? Like an asynchronous like multiplayer mode where you join a team, like a clan, I guess, and you're trying to beat other clans by doing actual infinite levels where you're trying to beat 2 other bots who are racing against you on the same track, which is sort of distracting because you can see them jumping over different things, and like you can't bump into one another, like you don't have to really worry about that, but it's just sort of like a lot happening on screen. And those levels are a lot harder, where they're like, here's a million TNT things you have to jump over, here's a lot of boulders coming at you have to jump or dodge or whatever over, and make sure you don't hit the right things, and jump in the air and quickly swipe right so you can miss this sort of thing or whatever. I'm kind of probably going to play a little bit more. I may have a review. I might do a review in like a week or something. Definitely. I just need to put a little bit more time into it, especially because at the moment, I'm like, a lot of environments are very samey. I'm like, okay, where's like the snow environment? Where's like the future environment? Are we going to get to those? Because I'm like 4 or 5 bosses deep, and they're not super exciting. So we'll see how I go. Also, because it's like launch week, so and there's a bunch of things you unlock on the main menu, like different characters you can talk to, or different sort of minigame things. I'm like, okay, what else can I unlock? Is there anything else here that is going to super excite me to keep me hooked? Because there is a fun game here, especially for Crash Bandicoot fans. It's just kind of course, getting fucked by general mobile bullshit, to be honest. So I don't know. That's Crash Bandicoot on the Run. It's out everywhere now, I believe, Android, iOS, if you want to check that out. Stay tuned for that review. If I do it, I'm putting it, that's one of those ones where I'm like time dependent kind of things. And I'll do it for this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Of course, you can let us know any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns you have about anything discussed in this week's episode by tweeting at us at heading to explosionetwork.com/Twitter, to find all of our Twitters. Find our Discord, explosionetwork.com/Discord for now. I mean, yeah, we'll see. Join our Discord while you can, until Microsoft makes you have to pay money. Get in while it's hot.
They'll censor all the PlayStation content.
I want to start some rumors to have more people join Discord. Like, you got to join now. Get a free... Yeah,
before they lock in Johnny's service.
Yeah. So just make sure you join now. And of course, if you like this episode and thought it was worth at least as little as $1, you can head over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support and buy us a coffee for $1. And until next week, we'll see you then. Same time, same couch. Ooh. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.